You've got to be careful when doing Roth conversions in retirement. Anytime you're over the age 65, you got to be careful. I'm going to tell you why coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, so I'm recording this in the fall 2021. Our office is very busy doing tax planning, okay? So tax preparation is a reactive process. We all need to do it. You figure out, okay, how much income did I make? Where's my W-2, 1099, blah, blah, blah. Put the right number in the right box, and that tells you how much tax you've already paid in, how much tax you owe, and it reconciles all that. It's all retroactive. Tax planning is proactive. Tax planning is taking a look at your financial situation and your tax picture in advance. And you're doing two things. You're, number one, trying to avoid surprises. And do I have a tax surprise brewing based on how my income is flowing this year, my withholdings, any tax law changes? Do I have a tax surprise brewing? Because no one likes tax surprises. But then more importantly than that, the second objective of tax planning is to identify opportunities for you to improve your tax situation, pay the least amount of tax over your lifetime. Not every single year, although I like that, but over your lifetime. And one of the reasons why we make that distinction is sometimes it makes sense to pay tax today to avoid it in the future, i.e. consider a Roth conversion, or even consider just contributing to Roth instead of pre-tax. When it comes to Roth conversions, that's the idea of, well, I've contributed money pre-tax into this IRA, and at some point, I'm going to draw these dollars out and have to pay tax on them. Well, is this tax year, is this tax season, is this a good year for me to pay the tax on that money? At some point, I'm going to have to. Either I'm going to have to do it, or withdraw the money, pay the tax on it, or when I pass away, my beneficiary will have to do that. Someone's going to have to pay tax on this money. All right, is my tax situation today, or my tax rate today, is this a good opportunity? Is this a good time to pay tax on that money? And if it's yes, and you don't need the money, then you would convert the money to a Roth, where you pay tax on that money, move it out of the IRA into the Roth, but then that money is invested and it can grow tax-free forever in your Roth IRA. Eventually, someone will have to take it out. You will have to take it out, or your beneficiary will take it out, but there's no tax when they withdraw that money. All right, so that's tax planning, that's Roth conversions. Now, let me give you a real life scenario. Again, I can't think of a time when I've sat down with someone recently where not only have I not done a tax projection, where I'm projecting, all right, this is what your tax picture is going to look like for this year. I'm doing a multi-year tax projection. Did a couple videos about this recently. I firmly believe looking at just this year tax projection isn't enough. You've got to look at over the next several years. And you might say, well, Mike, I don't know what tax rates are going to be. I'm like, I know. But we can at least look and say, well, do we anticipate your income changing over the next couple years? Let me give you a real life scenario, one that there was almost a gotcha. Married couple. Both, one is 72, the other is 71, okay? So one, we've got to take our required minimum distribution for the first time this year. The other one, we don't have to do it this year. We've got to start it next year, okay? They both have pensions. One was a teacher and has a comfortable pension. The other one worked in a union at some point and has a very small pension, but still, there's pension there. And then there's Social Security there. And between those two sources of income, it's about, I don't know, $6,000 a month, and that's really all they need. They don't need anything else. So they haven't needed to take money out of their IRA. Occasionally they've done that, throughout the years for, to do a vacation or something like that, do a home improvement. They've done a few of those, but they don't really need it on an ongoing basis. They haven't needed it every single year. And so, but now that we've got this required distribution, now we've got to consider, okay, well, this is the reality. We're not going to see another pandemic where they're going to pause required minimum distributions, or at least I sure hope not, right? So we've got to assume that they're going to be taking a required amount out every single year. So here's where we've been. They've been in the 12% tax bracket for several years. We've done some Roth conversions. And now as I did this multi-year tax analysis, this multi-year tax projection between their Social Security and the pensions, and the required minimum distribution from just the husband, just the older individual, they were in the 22% tax bracket. Not even really close. Like there wasn't anything we could do, massage the numbers a little bit, find a tax deduction here, there, out of whatever, and get out of the 22. They were in it by about 15, 20 grand. And then when the spouse starts required minimum distribution next year, they're going to be well within it by about 30 grand. And so I presented this to them that, guys, you're going to be in the 22% tax bracket for the rest of your life, or this middle tax rate. The first, for a married couple, you add up all your income, you subtract out your deductions, and that gets you to your taxable income, okay? That taxable income, the first, call it $20,000, is taxed at 10%. From 20 until 80, and I'm rounding, guys, is taxed at 12%. From 80 to 176 is at 22% and above, okay? So they were gonna be in the 22% tax bracket for good. And so I posed the question, you guys don't really need this money to live on, and so you've got to take your required minimum distribution out. We'll withhold the right amount of tax, blah, blah, blah. You can't do a Roth conversion with your RMD. But since we're in the 22% tax bracket, should we convert money above and beyond that RMD, that required amount, and fill up the 22% tax bracket, be willing to say, you know what, I don't see tax rates going down. And because the pension will last the rest of their life, Social Security will last the rest of their life, the required minimum distribution will last the rest of their life, I don't see them ever, showing up and say, oh, no, guess what? This year I'm only in the 12% tax bracket. Should we just be willing to pay 22% tax right now and push this money to the Roth so that it grows for the next 2 decades? I told you they're in their early 70s. So it grows for the rest of their life in the Roth. With the belief that, I don't think tax rates are going down. If anything, tax rates might go up or new taxes will be added. So they said, I think that makes sense. In fact, they told me both their kids are in the 24% tax bracket and might be even higher. And therefore, if they don't use it, if mom and dad don't use the money and the kids inherit it, they'll have to take it out of the IRA and pay tax on it. Could be even at higher rates. So they said, let's do it. And so very quickly, I just looked at this calculation. I said, okay, there's about 70 grand that we can convert and keep you in the 22% tax bracket. Let's do that. And they said, that's great. And then I started plugging in the numbers, and here's the gotcha. The whole purpose of this video. You've got to be careful when you're doing Roth conversions in retirement because of the potential for you to pay what's called IRMA, pay additional costs for your Medicare Part B and Part D. Income-related monthly adjustment amount. That's what it is. At first glance, I told you, right, that the 22% tax bracket goes from about $80,000 of income to $176,000 of income. We'll take a look at these Part B, Medicare Part B costs that you're going to pay the normal rate for a married filing joint tax return. You're going to pay the normal rate up to, $176,000, something like that. And so you should be good, right? The top of the 22% tax bracket's 175, something like that. And IRMA doesn't start until above 176. You're good. No, this 176 for Medicare is modified adjusted gross income. It's not taxable income. Your tax bracket is based on all of your income minus all of your deductions. That determines your tax bracket. Of that, after all your deductions, that's when the first 20 grand's at 10%, 80, from 20 to 80 is at 12%, from 80 to approximately 172, 175, in that range is at 22%. That's taxable income. For Medicare, Part B and Part D, this IRMA, this income-related monthly adjustment amount, it's not based on taxable income. It's based on modified adjusted gross income. You could just call it adjusted gross income, which is, you get some above the line deductions, but that's before you take your standard or your itemized deduction and even the qualified business income deduction or a few other things as well. So very similar numbers, but different parts of the tax return, and that could cause you to say, well, I'm willing to pay some tax right now, do this Roth conversion. Next thing you know, 2 years from now, because that's the delay in the impact, 2 years from now you show up and your Medicare Part B and Part D, now you have to pay more for those insurances because of this excessive Roth conversion. So Should you consider doing Roth conversions in retirement? Absolutely. Just make sure you're double checking the math and working with your certified financial planner who's also your tax advisor, working with your CPA to say, all right, how much Roth conversion should we do? Should we go up to that IRMA limit? Should we go to the 22%? Should we go to the top of the 24% and just say we're going to pay IRMA this year, but then we'll be in good shape from here on out? Work with your CFP and CPA on that. All right, if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to us. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with a K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.